because I know what God has given me. It is my voice. This is why during my transition, I never took time to concern myself with my voice. My therapist and other people have said to me, don't worry about your voice. Your voice is your gift. It commands an audience, and it has such a power to it that it is what brings out the beauty of who you are and the truth of what you represent. So,
well, you know why? Because the voice comes from within, and you share it with the world.
You're absolutely right.
Yourself.
You are absolutely
so the
right.
spiritual voice that you have is very strong, and the physical voice that you have is very strong.
Absolutely.
Do you think that actually comes easy to you because you are a reverend and because you are a black reverend?
No. I grew up in a time where Dr. King, during the period where Dr. King was assassinated. And it was at that time that I also found a voice. I didn't understand the causes and the events that were taking place. I had some inkling, but it did not reach the magnitude. But I remember getting up in class and speaking to the class about the tragic loss that had just taken place, and and my words were the sentiment feelings of what everybody else in the classroom were feeling at the time. It was then that I was able to discover my voice, which led me to consider going into journalism. I don't know why, but that quickly changed. So I ended up being a preacher at a very young age, and I've been doing it ever since. I'm a former school teacher, history. And where am I? I'm in the center of government power. I'm loving every minute of it.
And the love that you have for every minute of it is infectious. I feel it just standing here next to you. But I also know it from the people I've seen you interact with here at the Creating Change Conference, where over 500 LGBTQ advocates, some new to advocacy, some who've been around not just one block, but many blocks of advocacy. And that's something that you bring. So now, you are unique, just as every single individual here is, but they're also unifying forces amongst us. What is the unifying force that you've seen amongst all of these people here at the Task Force Creating Change Conference?
The energy, the love, the passion, and the commitment to make their voices heard, to feed off of each other, the energy, the passion and the desire, the understanding of what must be done in the various communities where we operate with our elected officials, with our allies who we work with, as well as those who are up under us. And it's what's been really refreshing here happens to be with our young students that are here, college, high school levels, and some children. That is powerful, for they get to see something that I didn't really get to see during some of my time. Some of the elders really, by example, showing young people how it's done, what it takes to be able to be that voice, even if it's in a supportive role. And so that has been quite encouraging.
You have gone through so many different periods of massive transition in our American society that affected you directly.
Yes.
As an American,
Absolutely.
as a black citizen, and as a trans individual.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I have found inspiring by the trans community, and the many dear people in my life who are transgender, not transgendered, but transgender,
Absolutely.
is it is such an incredible act of bravery to embrace your true, authentic self, your true voice, and let that true voice from within come out. Now that transition for you was even more challenging simply because of your race and what has happened and what continues to happen to the black community in this country of ours, which we're fighting to improve. I want you to speak to the black community. What do you have to say to the black LGBTQ community inspiring them with your voice?
Before I actually do, let me answer this piece, or let me say this piece as well. I also transitioned while I was pastoring my first church, black church. So we're talking about the dynamics of being black
Yes.
in a period where in the black home was very taboo, as well as being this pastor of a vibrant church in Atlanta, Georgia. You're sitting here saying, whoa, that is a taken back. How are you able to navigate through the nuances of the misrepresentation that many within the community don't fully understand? They don't understand this authentic identity that has been presented because they were never connected with it, and they felt that it was never something that it would be part of anyone who happens to be black.
Which community are you speaking
We're
about?
talking
Who's the they?
they are the adults of the black community who had a religious base that did not think that the black community would be gay, lesbian, transgender, or queer. They only felt that that came from white communities, white society, and that if anyone within the black community ever stated that they were, then they felt that they were being totally influenced from within the white community, and that was totally wrong.
So part of the community, or part of the communities that you connect to and that you are part of, shunned you because of who you are?
They didn't necessarily shun me. I will say this, my immediate family did to a degree, because they could not put the pieces together. They were not able to comprehend this individual and all I had going for me at the time go through this transformation, this massive transformation. It wasn't until I had the opportunity to really sit them down and had lengthy discussions with them to help them understand that not only the problem of understanding and acceptance is out there, it requires me explaining to you and to the many others that are out there in the world, within our community and outside of our community, so that you can better accept me for who I am and what I am, and know that I'm still the same person both inside and out.
Well, you mentioned that other people had difficulty putting the pieces together. I can say that, honey, Reverend honey, you put the pieces together for yourself. And that, in turn, becomes easier for other
Absolutely,
people
yes.
to understand you.
Yes.
So for the people who've not yet put their own pieces together, what piece of advice do you have to give them?
I said to someone on yesterday, which is really important to the question that you just asked me, is that you first have to identify with who you are, both inside and out. Once you're able to embrace that fully and accept all of who you are, mind, body, and soul, spiritually, sexually, you are all of who you are. Once you're able to embrace that, then you can begin the process of helping everyone else who sits on the outside looking in, trying to ascertain who and what you really are and why you're going through all, will begin to understand, because then you will be able to articulate so much better where you are, how you are, and why you are, because you have come to understand who you are first and foremost.
Who are you, first and foremost?
I am first and foremost a child of God. I am the product both of my mother and father who brought me into this world. I became a teacher, I became a broker, then I became a preacher. And now I'm a preacher, teacher, for the rights of all mankind. Not just for the LGBTQ community, but I represent all of mankind. I represent the injustice. I represent the argument that healthcare is affordable, should be affordable to everyone. I advocate for the fact that I remember when 725 was enacted. I remember that time. That's over 50 years ago. We still sitting here with 725, and you say in the 21st, 18 years into the 21st century that it is acceptable? We have a problem, and I'm going to make it your problem, for I am a registered voter. I'm here to let you know that, you know what? You really need to get on board. For why? I can vote you out of office. And I know enough folks within our community to start to make that happen. And our community, which is the LGBTQ community, is getting larger and larger because more and more are coming out of their shell and feeling comfortable and supported and know that they're not from another planet, that we're all on this small planet together and we have the same rights and privileges, and therefore we're going to start removing some of the old establishment out of the way to be all of what we need to be. And that's all is being a part of this great American dream.
Well, it's people like this amazing, inspiring Reverend who are not making America great again, but who are making America great. And these are the people on whose shoulders we stand. And she no longer has the responsibility to bear all that weight. We have the responsibility to share in that weight.
Absolutely.
So who did you meet with today on the Hill to express yourself?
Oh, gosh. The disappointing part was that within the Charlotte location where I'm representing, all of my representatives, including their staff, were a no-show. They were not available. The reporter that followed me the entire day asked me the question, how did I feel? I was deeply hurt, but I says, you know, that's the energy that fuels me, because they, until it's election time, they make it a point to try to shy away from us. What I was lucky enough to be able to meet up with was some of the representatives from our mountain states, mountain area of the state. I spoke on three specific issues. There's a bill out on the Equality Act, the discrimination against all of the LGBT community, but in particular the trans community, and it was predicated off of the second bill that's out there, which is under the Do No Harm campaign that the LGBT community is promoting, and it had a lot to do with the HB2 bill, Hate Bill 2, back in that period of time that forced us to run some elected officials out of office because they said they weren't going to rescind it. They did. Raleigh turned around and brought in HB 142, which stripped us, transgender community, the full rights of legal protection. So that said to everyone in North Carolina that if somebody wanted to beat the living hell out of us, all they had to do, because nothing was going to happen to them. That was my argument to those representatives who represent our representatives for the state of North Carolina, that if you are a churchgoer, and I know that you are because I've done my homework, I found that you and your family go to church every day at such and such church in your particular area of district here in Washington, as well as in the area where you represent. And I know that your family likes to do this and do that. I says, so show me in the Bible the same God that you and I claim to serve, where you're promoting hate, dysfunction, racial divide, where in my Bible it talks about love, unity, and the acceptance of all.
It's a statement like that that makes me contradict something that you said.
I'm going to love this.
You said that you represent the injustices in the world.
Yes.
Reverend,
yes.
You represent the justice in this world.
No, the injustice of hate, the injustice of this racial divide that continues to spread wider than the Grand Canyon as we know it in the human form, but it's spreading across the world.
So you represent those injustices? Once again, I disagree. I think you represent the justice that will illuminate those injustices.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just got to school a reverend. You know, that's a pretty big deal.
That's a good thing.
And you know, I'm a man of faith as well. Maybe not a religious leader, but as a Jewish individual who goes to synagogue, and my God, or my definition of God, is love.
Absolutely.
It's magic.
Absolutely.
And It is when we are able to embrace that magic, we're able to accept and help people improve themselves along their own journey, because that journey becomes our own.
Absolutely. So now I get an opportunity to reverse the shoes for
Yes.
just a second, because we all who are believers of the Creator that created all of us on this planet, whether those who believe or not, but those that truly do believe, regardless of what faith they operate under, are ministers of the truth. The truth of love, the truth of hope, the truth of promise, the truth of justice, the truth of what's right and what should be right in this world, not just for the individual or for a specific community, but for all of mankind. So you may not hold the same exact position that I hold from a pulpit in that respect, but you do the very same work that I do. And you do it proudly, you do it with extinction, you do it with love, you do it with the beauty that makes us all of who we are. You're doing it with the microphone. You're doing it on the screen. So you're doing the very same thing that I'm doing.
Amen.
No, you should have said, I'm stand corrected.
Stand corrected. And
you know I wasn't going to let you get
no,
back.
I love it. I love it.
No.
But you see, that's one of the beautiful things about the task force and its work and the Creating Change Conference is this is such a diverse group of people down below
Yes,
and
it
in
is.
all these conference rooms around us. What is it that unifies us is that we are part of the LGBTQ community, which is a vast community. Different faiths, different races, different nationalities, different in every which way.
And from different countries.
And here, for those of you who have not yet come to the Task Force Creating Change Conference, or for those of you who do not yet support the task force, this is the magic that happens at these events. That two people who somebody else might look at us and not see anything in common, we are completely in common. We are the same.
We are the same.
I
and
applaud
all of those
you.
that are here are the same. We are all the same, fighting for many of the very same causes. They differ from community to community, city to city, state to state, but we're all in this together. We come here to continue to be educated. We come here to be re-energized. We come here to network with others, to help aid others who may be struggling, who may be disenfranchised, or who may be weary. That's what brings us at a conference like this. And the Creating Change team, the task force, makes it possible. And I love it. I love it.
I love it too, and I love you. Thank you
Thank
so,
you so
much.
My Jewish brother. I love him so.
You. Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bless you.
Thank you.